Real quick. Okay.
Welcome to another episode of the Three Count. This time it is a Clash of Champions preview. I am here with Jaquan, Benny, and myself, Paulinho, the drummer boy over there. So we're gonna give you guys a preview of what's to come this Sunday at SummerSlam, and big shout out to podcast channels that we're gonna have upcoming, and just look out for us. I'll put the links in the description for the podcast. You can start following us there. All right.
Well,
So
we're talking about Clash of Champions because SummerSlam already happened.
yeah,
You said SummerSlam, guy.
I thought I said Clash of Champions the whole time.
You said SummerSlam. You said SummerSlam.
Damn. My bad. Clash of Champions. All right. So, have you guys been following up the whole King of the Ring tournament?
Yes and no.
Yeah. Kind of. Yeah. Here's my thing. They have the right idea, but it's just you got too many. It's too much of the heel versus face thing. Like, it's hard to get behind when you kind of know who's gonna win, and the worst people in the world, aka Baron Corbin and Elias, are getting pushed through the King of the Ring tournament. When in reality, you could have just had them face other heels, so at least they garner some traction, so that by the time they get to this point where they're gonna knock out a really uber babyface, it's believable. If you just have them beating random baby faces that they would not beat at any other point except for the tournament, it's kind of like, okay, now you guys are trying to push them. Like, the only one that's actually had a good run to me was Baron Corbin. And I hate saying that, but like, the man's put on some really good matches.
Yes.
And he's had some really, really nice spots, and it's not, Black Void of Death, mid-card of Doom Baron Corbin. It's like, this was the Baron Corbin that people kind of got behind when he was going for the Money in the Bank. Like, and they finally took that stupid shirt off of him and at least put him in a tank top. Sweet mother of God. Like, to me, that completely changed my opinion. Like, okay, I can get behind this Corbin because, like, now he's jacked. Now he's looking kind of trim. He's still got that same cocky attitude, but, like, his ring attire, at least to me, looks more believable. Like, he looks more like a bad guy. Next, we need to do is get him out of those freaking dress pants. Like, Jesus Christmas balls. Can we get this man some legitimate gear?
Real quick correction. The Clash of Champions is not this Sunday. It's next Sunday. It's on the 15th.
Next Sunday.
Yeah, next Sunday.
So we're doing this one extra early. We're actually early this time.
Well, here's the
But
thing.
we don't have three predictions.
I'm looking at the match card. The match card's set pretty much. This week coming up, all it's going to be is just the go-home shows, unless somebody gets hurt. So.
Well, the issue that we have right now is you're supposed to have all of the titles defended. AJ still doesn't have an opponent, although that's going to end up being Cedric Alexander.
I don't hate that. I just know that Cedric is going to get buried.
But here's the thing.
He's going to get killed.
Really going to have a match, though? I mean, this is the U.S. title. Like,
but the whole thing is like, it's supposed to be every title gets defended.
That's what I mean.
At the Clash of Champions or Night of Champions.
If Shinsuke can get a match, then AJ Styles needs to be defending this title. If Shinsuke, who we only see like 3 times in like 2 months, can get a match at Clash of Champions, AJ needs to be getting the match. My problem is because you're trying to push the OC so much, it kind of handicaps the U.S. title, I guess, picture, because it's never going to be a clear picture because AJ Styles is still going after the WWE title.
You know who doesn't have a match, though, right?
Ricochet?
No.
Oh, no, Ricochet has a triple threat match.
Yeah, the women's tag team match is not on the card so far.
That basically got taken care of on SmackDown. That basically got taken care of on SmackDown. It's probably going to be Fire and Desire.
But we already have, right at the moment, there are 10 matches in the card. There's the King of the Ring final. There's the regular singles match of Roman Reigns versus Eric Rowan. Becky Lynch versus Sasha Banks. Shinsuke versus The Miz. New Day versus Revival, Drew Gulak, Humberto Carrillo, and Lince Dorado.
Pre-show.
Right. Kofi versus Randy, Seth versus Rollins, and Seth and Braun versus Rude and Ziggler, and in Charlotte versus Bayley.
Well,
that's
again,
10 matches so far.
That is 10 matches, but you also have to take into consideration that all these matches are not going to be 15 minutes long. Like, there's going to be some squashes in there.
Yeah. Here's the thing, though.
Like, Roman's probably going to squash. Like, Reigns and Rowan are probably going to get a couple of really good spots in, and it's probably going to end in a no contest.
Okay.
Because of nefarious means.
Let's start off with the pre-show, which is going to be, like always, it's going to be the cruiserweight title. It's going to be on the pre-show.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be the cruiserweights, and it's probably going to be the women's tag team titles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And depending on how long the pre-show is, they could throw a third match in there, which will probably be the Raw tag team titles, whoever has those at this point. Oh, no.
They can't do that one. It has to be on the main card.
They can't do that one. So they may actually throw the New Day and the Revival on the pre-show.
Mm-hmm.
I can see that.
Yep, so can I.
And because it gets eyes on the pre-show, and then
So let's look at that. All right, let's start off with the pre-show. What we believe will be the pre-show. Which let's put off the women's in there. Let's get that over with. That's going to be as much as I saw that match, as much as they gave the win to Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville. I don't think they're going to win it.
No, I don't think they'll take the straps off of
no.
Mandy and Nikki as much as one, Vince loves Alexa Bliss. That's obvious. And also because they still have to kind of really milk this storyline. If they're going to do anything with a double cross, they wouldn't do it at Clash of Champions. They would do it closer to the Royal Rumble so that they have a storyline leading up to WrestleMania. So they're going to probably be portrayed as dominant champions. But at least what I can say is they've done a better job of putting the women's tag titles on TV, and it's in your face. Like, they're present. So I can at least give them credit for that. But I do think that Alexa and Nikki win, but I think Fire and Desire really put on a very good showing.
I would agree with that. As far as I'm concerned, being that you don't really have what you have in the women's tag division right now is three basic teams. You have Alexa and Nikki, you have the Iconics, and you have Fire and Desire. The other team, being the Kabuki Warriors, are nowhere to be found. And when they do show up, they're treated as the typical WWE Japanese stars, meaning they just get buried all the damn time. All right.
Well, you can't count the Iconics right now because Peyton Royce is on sabbatical because she and Sean Spears just got married. So you don't even have the Iconics at this point up through the next pay-per-view.
It's crazy. So, like, honestly, you're gonna have a situation right now where I see Alexa and Nikki escaping with the championships. Not. There's no convincing win, nothing like that. Either it's going to be dirty or it's going to be questionable. Whereas, like, they just get out of there with the belts or whatever, and then you end up in a situation where Fire and Desire actually has some type of a legitimate gripe to say we should have, another match going forward or something like that. So whatever the pay-per-view is in October, I think that's Hell in a Cell.
Yes.
So, and that's leading to something later. Freaking Hell in a Cell.
I'm praying. I'm praying it. If you think of what I'm thinking, I'm praying.
Yeah.
But just got to do that one right. But we ain't gonna talk about that right now.
Not just yet. But like I said, those two, they're gonna hold on to the belts a little while longer. I don't see any reason to take them off them just yet. The only thing that I could think of is and I don't think they would ever do this. Say later on in the night, Bayley retains the title. Sasha Banks beats Becky Lynch and takes her title. What is left for the two of them to do with them to get together? Except take all the damn belts.
And just go straight up two-man power trip.
Yep.
I don't hate the possibility of that.
I don't think it's gonna happen.
At least you will have a situation where now the tag titles once again are going to be there and ever present, even if they're not the highlight, but they're going to be there. And then you go with the whole Becky can still have the whole like, oh, I'm gonna be Becky 2 belts. And what better way to get Becky and Charlotte together, even if it is like they don't like each other, but they'll come together for that moment. And then imagine a tag team Hell in a Cell.
Between the 4 horsemen.
Yep.
That would be insane.
Yep. And it's winner take all.
And that's good. That's going like off. That's going like off or whatever. But I was just thinking like that's probably the only way that I could see anything different besides a, by a skin of their teeth victory for Alexa and Nikki. Because one, as you said earlier, the story between them isn't over. To me, it hasn't even peaked yet. Nope. Because it's just like it's you got this weird situation where the two of them are just. They're there, and you honestly always have to have in the back of your mind that something is going to happen just because that's always been Alexa's character. But you're wondering how they're going to spin it. So you're just waiting. Again, when it comes to them.
I think this is a really big testing platform for Alexa as a face. And I think the company wants to see if she can sell the merch, if she can produce the kind of matches that she did as a heel, because if they do that, then they can turn Nikki, and Nikki does better as a heel anyway because of just her character, and Alexa Bliss can keep her moveset, which is big for her. And then you can build around, Alexa Bliss coming back as like this face champion.
I mean, my thing about Alexa right now is the fact that she doesn't have a defined role at the moment. She legitimately is the female Big Show.
Yes.
In so much as from week to week, she can legitimately be a heel or a face, and it's annoying.
It's not even week to week. It's like day to day. On Raw, she'll be a face. On SmackDown, she'll be a heel. It's like, what the hell? Like I said it the other day. I was like, wasn't she a face yesterday? Now she's a heel.
Or
wait, no.
That's why they need to get. That's why they need to get rid of the wild card rule.
Yeah.
It's just annoying. The way I see it, I agree. I don't think that I don't think Fire and Desire is going to win it. I think that I'm just hoping they put on a good show, a good match.
Yeah, I think those two specifically, they need to. They have to put up a good match at this point, just to keep themselves relevant, in the sense of like everyone thinks that because of Mandy's look, she'll be a future champion. But because of Sonya Deville's skill set and her overall package, she looks more likely to be a champion. And then there's always the looming possibility of whenever Shayna Baszler loses that title, her and the other two Stooges are probably going to get called up. And then what do you do with that entering the division? Both divisions, really.
I'm going to reiterate like what I've always said about Sonya. I find it annoying that they repeat that she's a mixed martial artist and they don't emphasize that at all with her character. The only thing mixed martial artists about her is that they say that's what she was.
Even her in-ring style doesn't reflect mixed martial arts.
No.
Like if she was more, it's like I can understand if she was more of a striker versus a grappler, or like I can't tell, were you a striker when you fought? Were you a grappler? Did you just train? Because look at other mixed martial artists. You look at Shayna Baszler, her style shows that she's a mixed martial artist. Matt Riddle specifically, his entire wrestling style screams like Ken Shamrock meets Brock Lesnar. So, like, you can tell he's heavily influenced by his mixed martial arts background. Like, I don't even know if they're just saying Sonya was a mixed martial artist or she actually did MMA. Like, I need to see video proof at this point because I really don't believe it.
Mm-hmm.
Because she just doesn't use it. Like, does anybody know what Sonya's finisher is?
No.
I've never seen Sonya's finisher. I've never seen her do a signature. I've never seen her do any real spots. Like, I haven't seen anything from Sonya. The only thing that I see from her is her physical presence, and her looks like a world champion. But I haven't actually seen her in a situation where her skill set is showcased. It's always her highlighting Mandy. Like, I know what Mandy's finisher is. It's that overhead, I think it's 1916 facebuster thing. Where it looks like Tommaso Ciampa's finisher almost, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know what Sonya's is. And that, to me, is the problem. And the only way I can see that changing is if Sonya turns on Mandy Rose, and they won't do that.
No. So I see the Bliss and Cross retaining. Again, agreeing with Benny, it's going to be by the skin of their teeth. To make Fire and Desire look strong. If they do anything else after that, then they're burying Fire and Desire for no reason at that point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So moving on to the Cruiserweight Championship, the Triple Threat. I mean, I haven't been paying attention to this, so I don't think it's going to change at all. I think it'll stay with Drew.
What is it? Drew Gulak, Tony Nese, and who else?
Nah, it's Drew Gulak, Humberto Carrillo, and Lince Dorado.
Oh yeah, no, they're not gonna put it on a Spanish. Not to be disrespectful, but they're not gonna put it on a Spanish wrestler.
No,
those guys are only in there to make Drew Gulak's matches look more entertaining.
Yeah.
That's really all it is.
Alberto Del Rio was the only Spanish wrestler that won a title, I think. If I'm correct.
Him and Ray, I think. Him and
Ray
and
Eddie. Yeah.
Yeah, him, Ray, and Eddie were the
only three
guys, but
Tito Santana only won the IC title. That's as far as he got.
Yeah, well, we already went over that so many times that we know what that is.
Yeah.
I just don't see any. Plus, I don't see any of those guys really being champion because the Carrillo kid he's still green. Like, he's good, he's entertaining, but he's green.
They called him up too early. I don't know why. He didn't even do.
I don't even think it's a call up. It was more of a lateral move because he wasn't going to get any burn in NXT anyway. Like, he look at him. Like, he's too goofy. He's too sunshine and rainbows for anybody to really get behind him. And if you're gonna get with like a campy act, like, he would have been perfect to feud with like Enzo, because Enzo is so obnoxious that you almost kind of have to get behind this kid to make it like. And no matter, and Enzo would have looked like a bully, and people love to eat that storyline crap up.
Yeah.
But like, or even if he would have feuded with Buddy Murphy, it would have made more sense. But with Drew Gulak is good as a wrestler, but again, his character, he's not mean enough. He just seems like that prize fighter that, like, he's a stand-up prize fighter kind of dude, where like he'll come to fight, yada yada yada, but he's not really a heel and he's not really a face.
Yeah. So this is an easy Drew Gulak all around, pretty much.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And now we go to what we believe is going to be the last pre-show match for the WWE SmackDown Tag Team Championships between the New Day and the Revival.
Placeholder match. I'm calling New Day with that one. Although I do believe that they are not going to walk out of there. I think you're going to have the New Day win, but the Revival and possibly Randy Orton are going to come out there and beat the crap out of them.
Yeah, I could definitely see that being a dusty finish or a no contest, just to continue the storyline. Because honestly, I don't understand why they keep separating New Day in terms of like having Kofi do his own thing, having Kofi get jumped, but then like the New Day also having their own feud within that feud, but never coming out to help Kofi, if that makes sense. Like he's literally getting jumped every other week, and the two other guys are just not there. And I'm like, why would you be in a stable if he's just going to keep getting jumped and they're just going to keep jumping and picking apart the New Day?
I mean, and
I know, Paul.
doing part of it right now. But to me, that's one of those things where, if you remember correctly, before SummerSlam, you had that situation where Seth Rollins was out there getting absolutely demolished by Brock Lesnar, and then as they're wheeling him through the back on the stretcher, what do you see but Roman Reigns walking through the back? Like, dude, that's supposed to be your brother. It's just nonsensical storytelling when it comes to WWE, where they're trying to tell something, but they don't know how to get past the loophole.
It's
they don't know how. They don't.
It's
not even so much.
WWE.com promo.
No.
WWE.com promo literally saying, "Hey guys, I get that we're a family and everything, but I got to handle this on my own." Okay, cool. Bing, bang, boom. It's literally 2 minutes. It's 2 minutes.
It makes too much sense. It takes too much work. And to be honest with you, the way they change and drop stuff from week to week, like, yeah, I'm pretty sure they probably thought, like, okay, maybe somebody did this already.
For those of you that are listening to the podcast, if you're listening to it, what we do here is, like, if there's something an obvious decision that they should be making, I tend to tap the pen on the webcam, or we tap the pen on the webcam, just be like, kind of like, wake up, that's too obvious. And that's what we were talking. That's what I was doing with Jaquan when he was talking about the obvious decision of why are they splitting up New Day. It's obvious they shouldn't, but we're talking about Vince here, and Benny is now also getting the tap because of the fact that he's falling into the trap of that we had a discussion a while back, that Seth and Roman have they whatever happens to one, you're always going to ask where's the other, no matter what, unless one is a face and one is a heel. They have that shield bond that won't be broken unless one is a heel,
and they're technically facing each other.
In that case, like, I understand that. My one thing about it though is, like, if you don't want that question to come up, why is Roman even there?
Thank you.
It's true. That is true.
That doesn't even make, like, why is he backstage? Like, Seth wasn't backstage when Roman got the thing dropped on him.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what's funny though? I was to get off a little bit. Remember how they showed the new footage and Roman is there?
Uh-huh. Oh, that was photoshopped. No. He was not there.
No, it was. Because I went back. I was like, did they really Photoshop this? Like, really? If you go back to the original footage, you see it. The problem is they changed the angle, but you see him actually pushing it. You have to pay attention. So go, like,
at least they did that right.
Yeah, once we're done, go back and look at it. They changed the angle, so you only see, like, for a split second, you see the hoodie, you see him there, and then they change the angle where you can't see him because the speakers are there, but you see him pushing. You see the hand going forward.
Terrible.
But
even still, that we'll probably talk about that when we talk about that match.
Yeah.
Is it just me, or does this angle seem really random? And it's like, we need to have Roman Reigns do something. Eric always gets injured, so we need to have Eric do something because, Luke Harper, you're not going to be able to do anything.
Yeah.
That's what this feels like to me. And it's just like...
It's even more than that. And like I said, because of the fact that y'all know it's when I'm driving around and work and everything like that, as I was telling Paul before, a lot of times I'm sitting there and I'm on YouTube. I'm having YouTube act as my radio, which is how y'all end up getting all of this stuff from me during the day or whatever. So I'm sitting here and I'm listening to, a bunch of different, podcasts and internet wrestling companies, or not companies, groups and things out there. And they're talking about this entire feud and the way that this feud has been mishandled. Because if you look at it, where's Samoa Joe in this feud? Wasn't he in this feud at the beginning? What about Buddy Murphy? Wasn't he in this feud at the beginning? What the hell? Now we're sitting up here just dropping people, and now I can almost see how this mess is going to go with that. You're going to end up with Daniel Bryan turning around because everybody's saying that he turned face this week after, he went out there trying to stop Rowan and all this other stuff and then getting put through the table. I can almost see Daniel Bryan is going to be the one to cause a dusty finish in that match. He's going to go out there and he's going to be pulled the Vince McMahon higher power thing. It was me, Roman. It was me all along, just like friggin' Vince McMahon did back in the day when it was The Undertaker and Austin and all of the stupid shit because they don't know how to do anything but recycle storylines.
Real quick.
Sad but true.
Sad. I have the New Day retaining on that one since we
kind of on that New
one.
Day.
But let's go to this Roman Reigns and Eric Rowan match real quick. Since we're on there, that way we could just go off on the titles. Yeah, this feud has been completely just out of nowhere, made no sense at all. And in that one episode where it ended, where they pull a hood off a guy and it happens to be a lookalike of Rowan.
Did you notice that they never even addressed that again after that?
No. Here's the funny part. So you mean to tell me that you saw it? Bryan saw this. He found a guy that looks like Rowan, and you want us to believe that he had nothing to do with this?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yeah. No, I know. It's like, here's the funny thing. They came out today that they reorganized the creative staff again.
Yeah.
They reorganized. One guy's on sabbatical. One guy got moved from SmackDown to Raw. Another one got transferred from Raw to SmackDown. It's a mess. I mean, it doesn't matter what they do because the fact of the matter is that when Vince McMahon is going to rip up that script and rewrite it 2 hours before the show, it don't matter who's on that team. It don't matter who's on that team.
I would need a sabbatical too. This is making my head hurt.
Yep.
Screw that.
Like I said, I posted that thing up on Facebook earlier because one of the things I was watching today was some guy went over Kingdom Hearts 3 and basically rewrote the story himself. And he basically just told the whole story about how he would do it. And I was just like, you know what? From somebody who actually rebooks stuff himself like I do, like, I'm sitting up here and I'm looking at how these guys are being forced to change what they do and fit, this little narrative and everything. And then I could go back and legitimately just tear everything they do apart and build a more a story with better continuity, a lot more cohesion, and be a lot more coherent as well. And I'm looking at what they're doing, and I'm just like, this thing has started over here. Like, we were over here in Brooklyn, New York. And by the time this story ended, we were on the third friggin' moon her surrounding Jupiter. What the hell is what were they? I can't even come up with nothing right now. Like the way that they mishandled this, like this right here, leading into SummerSlam, was quite possibly one of the best and I want to say most interesting stories that they've had in a while because it actually was bringing me. I want to say it was giving me vibes of the Who Hit Austin back in the day,
or even more recently, the Who Attacked Aleister Black.
That what was not even just that one. What was the other one? The one they had to drop, the Vince McMahon, the limo explosion.
Yeah.
Like because they sat up there and you got these vibes or whatever from this one storyline where it's just like this is something that could end up being real special. And then I remember how the Austin one ended, and it ended up being Rikishi, and he was doing it in for Triple H, which was the most obvious thing ever. Which is why I'm sitting. No. He did it for Triple H. That was how that mess ended.
I don't remember that part. I remember the whole. He's my cousin.
I did it for you. I did it for The Rock, and The Rock had nothing to do with it. It's just, but it was like I said, it was that right there. How that mess ended. How the higher power thing ended. How all of this stuff like. I don't know what it is about this company that cannot follow through on something and just that is going to be something good. and having it just revolve around something completely stupid. But you had so much stuff that was going into this. You had Samoa Joe mixed in with this. You had Buddy Murphy mixed in with this. If we remember correctly, all of this mess started with Daniel Bryan supposedly making this career-altering announcement. None of this has paid off, and it's Rowan.
Did he ever? I don't even know. Did he ever make the announcement?
No, that's what I'm saying. All of this mess started with that.
It was like,
yeah, it's Vince. It's all Vince. I mean, come on. How many times has he ripped the script up?
Yeah.
And that's the thing, and that's why this thing has been so disjointed. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Again,
and there's nothing.
He did it to Raw, so and now he's doing it to SmackDown. He did it to Raw, now he's doing it.
He's gonna do it. He's gonna do it NXT. He's gonna do it NXT. He's going to.
Truthfully, I feel like honestly, I think if he touches NXT, Triple H will quit.
You guys have the entire Undisputed Era in the middle of the ring, all give him super kicks at the same time.
Yep, I feel like Triple H will quit if he touches, because he's so adamant about Vince not touching NXT. I think Triple H will quit.
From what I was hearing, I believe that NXT is going to be left alone for now. But either way, I'm just like, all it's going to take is one episode where everything is like a little bit off, and then Vince McMahon is probably just going to be like, you know what, I need to step in. I need to.
Well, when does the XFL start? The XFL is supposed to start next year, right?
February.
Yeah, 2020.
The week after.
So I think that's maybe why Vince is trying to hold on to like this last little bit, because once he starts with the XFL, I don't think he knows fully what he's getting himself into. Mm-hmm. And I think that honestly, if you look at just how much the AFL or whatever the other thing was called,
AAF,
there we go. How much work it took into maintaining all of it, I don't think Vince will even have the time to interfere.
Mm.
You're so positive and optimistic about it.
because it's just because of the gravity of running a professional football organization. It is the sheer magnitude of, it's like him trying to run WWE and then run another WWE. It's just not physically possible for any one person. I can see him jumping in every now and again and doing it, but being as involved as he is now is going to be impossible.
Oh no. I was gonna say
the only difference is gonna be is he won't be on site. They're still gonna check in with him before every show. This is the plan, this is the plan, this is the plan, this is the plan. And he'll be like, hell no. I'm changing it.
Again, because of the fact that he has so much going on, as much as they say this is the plan, this is what we're going to do, he's not going to be able to check in before every show. He's not going to be able to be around that frequently. It's not going to be possible, especially because that starts right in the middle of WrestleMania season. He's not going to be able to be there. You physically cannot do that.
The only time
it's not possible.
Not getting involved is on pay-per-views because they're on Sundays when their games are probably happening.
Yeah, but then through the week you have maintenance, you have you have all this stuff going on that goes into running a professional football league. Like it's a continuous thing every day, and it's such the magnitude of it is so big that he's not going to have time. There just may not be time.
You know what? We're like 4 months away.
Mm-hmm.
We gonna find out. We definitely gonna find out.
We don't even have to wait that long, because once AEW starts, if AEW starts and it's a success, it is an if, because of just how shaky the paper. Like, to me, the quality of AEW has been kind of declining recently.
Well, part of that had to do with they had to do with injuries and stuff, with guys like Moxley going out right before All Out.
Yeah. So, but that to me is not an excuse. It's more of like, this is the nature of the business. It's like when you go into a game on Sunday, like if your quarterback gets injured on Thursday, like there's not really an excuse for you to lose the game. Somebody's got to step up, and it has to be just as good, if not, that's up to the coach to make sure it's right. So truth be told, like you have to kind of hold them to that standard.
Let's bring it back. Let's bring it back. We're getting off topic here. So that goes for. We're all gonna agree Roman Reigns is gonna win this one. There's no doubt about it because
I think it's gonna end in a no contest.
You didn't be no contest.
I think it's gonna.
I'm honestly leaning
Bryan
towards that as
Roman
well.
Reigns. It's gonna set up Daniel Bryan versus Roman Reigns at Hell in a Cell. To me.
No, I don't want to see that match at all. I don't know why.
I'm not saying whether I want to see it or not. That's just where I see it going.
No, I think Reigns will win it. I think Reigns will win it, and Bryan will get involved somehow.
I'm hoping that Reigns wins it, just flat out, but I don't see it happen. Like I said, I honestly think that they're going to use this to build towards Hell in a Cell, where you have Daniel Bryan being revealed as the actual mastermind behind everything. And I don't want that storyline to happen.
Truth be told,
how I see it going.
If Roman Reigns wins clean, what's next for Roman Reigns? You know they're not going to have the Golden Boy not be on the next pay-per-view. What else is there for him to do? He's not doing anything. And they're not going to put him in a world title picture.
Not yet.
No, I think he beats up on Rowan, and then Rowan just like, oh no, yeah, it was Daniel Bryan the whole time, or whatever, something like that, just to further the storyline.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but moving on, I think we're gonna have the Raw Tag Team Champions on after that one, if not before that one, just to get out of the way. Rollins and Strowman versus Rude and Ziggler, which I think is going to be it's going to be Strowman and Rollins retaining. I don't think Ziggler and Rude are going to win. I think they're just there to take a pinfall.
Yeah.
I disagree completely. Because I think that they're going to use them and that loss to kind of fuel the whole giant, I guess you can call it the Giants' rage. And I think that it's going to play into them, like Strowman turning on Rollins and Strowman just going ape shit on Rollins and injuring him or hurting him significantly before their match later. So I actually think Rude and Ziggler will win the tag titles. Plus, they're trying to build Rude, so.
They're always trying to build something. They never build anybody.
Yeah.
To me, if it was anybody other than Rude and Ziggler, I would say yes. If it was Rude and Gable, I would probably say yes. But because of the fact that Ziggler is involved in this, it's just like, this is somebody who, as you were saying before, Jay, he doesn't even want to be there anymore. Like, I don't know, maybe you giving him a belt or something right now is their way of trying to entice him to stay with the tag titles.
I mean, it allows him not to work as much and it lessens his workload, but gives him a title. So it's a little bit of a compromise in that sense.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I could see the two of them. What I would really like to see as far as this goes, I'm going with Strowman and Rollins, but what I would really like to see is them, if you all remember Money in the Bank, you had Becky Lynch defending both of the titles, and the title matches ended up being back-to-back, which what I would like to see them do in this case is something similar, where you have Strowman and Rollins, and instead of the Universal title match going on last, you would have them in the middle of the card. You would have the Raw Tag Team title match. That match ends, and as soon as that match ends, Strowman and Rollins now have to focus on facing off against each other. Possibly beaten down, because at the end of the match, Rude and Ziggler, they get, pissed off and they just beat the crap out of Strowman and Rollins. Now the two of them are down, or Rollins himself is down, and Strowman got to sit up there and he has to decide whether I'm going to be, all about myself and take this championship off of my wounded partner right this second, or am I going to give him a chance to actually get himself together? Like, I would like to see, because that actually brings in, some type of character building between the two of them. But if we're looking at it from how WWE is probably going to do because they want to get that pop twice in the night, yeah, they're just going to go with Strowman and Rollins. Rollins again is probably going to end up in a situation where he's fighting uphill, whereas like somebody probably Brock Lesnar's probably going to show up and swing him around on his ribs again or something.
I think somebody will show up, but I don't think it's going to be Brock Lesnar.
Nah, I'll just do that out there because I want to give Seth Rollins a hand.
Yeah, I'll say Strowman and Rollins win, and I'll go on to what happens later on in their match. Like I'll go into further detail, but I think they're going to win. I think Ziggler and Roode are there just to take the pinfall, just to, like you guys were saying earlier, to pretty much make, because they can sell for Braun. So that's what they're there for, to sell for Braun. Which is ridiculous because you could have had other teams do it that could really do it. Yeah, but yeah, it is what it is.
Again, the reason why I disagree is because Ziggler is the type of persona that you don't need him to do the physical labor, but because he's so good on the mic, you can throw those misbegotten tag teams. Like, really, at this point, Hell in a Cell to me would be the perfect time to put the titles on the Viking War Experience Raiders.
Machine too. Gotta throw that out there.
Or the Street Profits, and that I know Paul Heyman is really high on. What better of an introductory match than to put the titles on the Street Profits in a tag team triple threat Hell in a Cell match? Just saying. Not to mention now you have 3 teams that can sell like it's nobody's business, and you have teams where you have one guy who's supposed to be like the muscle that is super athletic, and you have like the stars and the mouthpieces of each team that are like, to me, what's his face? Not Dawkins. Montez Ford is a better version of Dolph Ziggler. He's not quite Shawn Michaels, but he's a much better version of Dolph Ziggler. And I think that to me would be more beneficial to the other talent. And Paul, I know you're going to tap me for this. It would be more beneficial to the division and to the other talent to have them beat Ziggler and Roode, because they can be a transitional champion. They can be transitional champions. Just nobody cares if they won the title. But Ziggler is good enough to make you care just enough to tune in. And then you have 2 other teams that, one is uber popular from NXT, so they'll get those fans. The other one has just been on TV killing jobbers. So there's that. And then the Viking War Experience Raiders have they have history with the Street Profits.
Well,
because you still do have that, and I know it's taking into NXT as continuity, and I know that that's not a thing. But as a fan, if you really watch, then you know that the what's this case? The Street Profits have an unofficial pinfall over the War Raiders, who never really lost in NXT. So there's still that dynamic.
Here's the thing getting AOP.
Yeah, and then listen, AOP, and then you also have what's that pay-per-view? War Games coming up. So you have a situation where these guys are coming from a pay-per-view with War Games. Why not do War Games? Like, that's the perfect way to me to introduce War Games to the main roster, because now you have 4 teams right there. And you have teams that can sell for each other. You have different styles, and you have champions that don't look like they're going to retain. So even if they retain and they put on a good match, now you've basically revamped and revitalized the tag division in one fell swoop. And you can't do that with Seth and Braun, because Seth and Braun are to a point where you can't really have them lose to teams like that. Nor can you have them in those type of matches. So that's why I think that Ziggler and Roode will probably win. also leading into the Seth Braun situation later or right after, as we don't know what the lineup is. But again, Braun being pissed because if Seth takes the pinfall, hypothetically, Seth takes the pinfall, Braun's just going to be mad. He's just going to be like, all right, since you just made me lose my titles, I'm just going to beat the crap out of you. Seth's probably going to go to the back, ice himself up. And then, truthfully, I think that that's when Seth would drop the title to Braun. But that's my prediction for later. Anyway, next match.
We'll go with the IC title. Nakamura and The Miz.
Nakamura. I'm not even going to go into it just because of the fact that, like,
it's gonna make you upset.
Yeah. What I see happening right now is you have a situation where you have two guys that aren't really doing anything, in Sami Zayn and Shinsuke Nakamura, that they just threw together. Then, like, all right, listen, we're going to hope that this works and catches fire. And then you got The Miz, who the only real benefit to him winning this championship is him breaking Jericho's record. So if they want to be that petty with the IC title, then he'll win.
It's Vince.
Yes. Yes.
You just changed my mind.
That's exactly why I'm saying that. And who just won the AEW World Title?
Yep. Jericho.
The bubbly.
Yeah.
The bubbly. Even if they weren't planning on doing it, they're gonna do it now.
Yeah.
Even if they weren't planning on doing it, they're gonna do it now.
Petty Vince, bro. Come on now.
Not to mention
the
again, this is the repeat of when The Miz won it his last time. The IC title has lost its luster ever since Seth and Roman touched it.
Yeah.
And they need a way to reestablish this title. That's why they put the US title on what's his face? On AJ Styles. Oh. Which to me was stupid because he should have beat Samoa Joe and had Ricochet beat him later instead of having Ricochet lose. But we're not going to get into that. We're not going to be that petty. But The Miz, being the company man that he is, and Jericho winning the AEW title, all but guarantees that The Miz will probably win. Or if Shinsuke does win, it'll be a setup more for Sami Zayn to get back into the ring versus Shinsuke and The Miz. Over it just being, because I feel like the talking points is going to be more between The Miz and Sami Zayn and not so much Nakamura. Nakamura's just there because he has a title. They don't really want to use Nakamura because, let's face it, he's a successful Japanese talent. So they don't really want to build a title picture around him.
Yep.
And so I think that this could just be a setup for Sami Zayn to win the Intercontinental title. But I don't think they've thought that far ahead for Sami Zayn, which is why I still think it's The Miz.
Yep, I say The Miz too as well. Petty Vince is going to try and have him break Jericho's record.
Oh, for sure.
He doesn't like the bubble.
Sure. He just doesn't like Jericho. The fact that Jericho set the blueprint. Jericho basically told guys like, hey, once you leave, here's what you can do, and here's how much more money you can do. There's how much more you can take. And then Dean followed him and did it. Shawn Spears followed him and did it. Who else? Pac, in his own way, I guess, did it. I think the only one that wasn't successful is like Enzo and Austin Aries, even though Austin Aries was on a tear when he first left.
Yeah, but I keep hearing stuff about Austin Aries, how much he's to deal with. So,
well, again, it makes sense why the locker room turned on him. Same thing with Enzo. It now makes sense why the locker room turned on those guys, and it wasn't WWE. So we can chalk it up to it just being those guys being very difficult workers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So going on. So we pretty much agreed. Well, no, me and Jay agree it's The Miz. Benny is gonna try and finagle a Nakamura win.
Hey, listen, Jap's got to get something, man.
Do they? And we're heading towards Veterans Day.
All right, listen, they deserve something.
Come on now, guy.
Let's go off to the Raw Women's Championship. Becky Lynch versus Sasha Banks.
Okay.
All right, first off, let's go into this tidbit. Ric Flair is trying to sue WWE for the man gimmick, and he feels he deserves to get paid for that. He's trying to trademark.
You too damn old to be doing these, Rick. You too damn old for this, bro. Stop. Just stop. Just you too old to be acting a fool like this right now. At this point, I feel like the WWE would be petty enough to bury Charlotte because of this man, and we know Vince is petty.
Oh, they got beef.
Vince is petty.
I read they got beef. There's a little strife between both Charlotte and her dad because of this.
Yeah, because it's stupid. It's idiotic.
Yep. There's actually beef right now between Triple H and Ric Flair too.
That too.
They literally bring this man back and give him a free paycheck just for him to act like he has Tourette's and Alzheimer's in the middle of the ring. Like, what more do you want, my guy? Like, you don't need. Like, if that's the case, you should sue your daughter because it's her fault that the phrase even came back. Because when she won the title the first time, she had the whole, if you want to be the woman, you got to beat the woman. Becky Lynch just took it to another level. But it's really Charlotte who brought the phase back. Yeah. I mean, brought the phrase back. So if you're going to sue anyone, you should sue Charlotte. But again, you've almost died like 3 times in like the last 2 years. That should be a sign for you to stop being stupid and just chill out, bro. Like,
and enjoy what time you got left.
Yeah, like I really hope that he's not broke. That's why he's doing this. Because that's the only thing that would make sense is if he's broke and he needs something. But like, again, the man moniker wasn't, as much as it came from Ric Flair, it's, statute of liability. Like, how long ago were you really using this, man? Like, the last time you actually wrestled and used this in a promo kind of situation was for him versus Shawn Michaels in, like, what, WrestleMania 22 or something like that? Mm-hmm. Which was almost 24. So that was, what, almost 10 years ago, if not more?
Mm-hmm.
Like, statute of limitation, bro. Like, that's the whole argument I would use. Even if it was by any stretch of the imagination, if he had any sort of case, the statute of limitation, the fact that you waited till now to this supposed thing was profitable for you to sue, just goes to show that this was not originally yours in the first place, because you would have trademarked it on your way out.
Yeah,
it's literally, it just makes Ric Flair look so much worse in the eyes of so many people, and it's like, bro, you had so much love coming off that health scare. Why would you do this to yourself? If you wanted to be this kind of person, you should have just showed up to AEW along with, Bret Hart. Because at least you would have got a check from that. Because you're not getting a check from this, bro. Stop it. Somebody come get Grandpa and put him to bed. Somebody get this man some drugs so he could take a nap. He's tripping right now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, my rant is done. You guys are
Nah, man, I'm just looking at it like it's another thing where somebody who is no longer in the spotlight is trying to regain some of the spotlight. I'm gonna go along the same lines as you. I hope he's not broke, but if I remember, like I said, I read something on one of those links that we had up there earlier. I don't remember exactly what it said, but it said something about ensuring that, his family had something to fall back on or something like that. But I'm just like, come on, man. For as long as you was sitting up there wrestling, I know you were not legitimately going out there blowing all of your money on limousines and women. All right? You had to have had something put back. And if you didn't, that's nobody's fault but your own.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I love Ric Flair, but come on. You gotta just come on.
Yeah. So back to the match: Becky Lynch versus Sasha Banks.
Sasha Banks.
All right. Anybody who, like I said, honestly, anybody who listens to me or knows me understands that Sasha Banks currently is my favorite female wrestler. I was absolutely over the moon when she came back.
Oh, we know.
Absolutely.
Whew. Praise baby Jesus, because girl look good.
Oh yeah.
God, oh my goodness.
Who you telling?
Yep. At One Piece, you were. I was like, wow.
Whew. Let the church say
Man, listen.
amen.
Man, listen. I have flashbacks to Angelo Dawkins thinking about Nikki Cross. And yes, she is.
Yeah, there she go.
There she is. So, like I said, everybody knows that Sasha is my favorite female wrestler right now. It started off with Paige, but it started to move over towards her. But what I'm looking at right now is I'm actually a little scared that they're gonna be like, all right, we're gonna put you in here, but we're still gonna punish you. And I have a feeling that they're going to honestly kill her momentum before it even gets traction. That being said, Paul Heyman is apparently behind Sasha Banks. And the only real way to make this heel turn of hers legitimate and actually mean something is to have her win. So I'm going with Sasha. As unbiased as I could possibly be when it comes to her, I'm going with Sasha Banks.
I will go with Becky Lynch, but she'll win by disqualification because Sasha's gonna do some crazy shit. She'll just go like, fuck it. Berserk, keeping Banks strong, not really losing, but keeping the belt on Lynch and having this feud to go a little longer.
The Hell in a Cell.
Yeah.
I
kind of can see where you're going with that, Paul. Either scenario works for me personally. I just think that it's going to be Sasha because what else are you going to do? Like, who else are you going to put? And for me, I think the roles being reversed, Sasha's so much better in a heel persona as champion, and Becky is so much better chasing the title.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
as good as she is holding the title, she's better chasing the title.
The problem with Becky's run has been the lack of true storylines for her with true competition. When she won it and they put Lacey Evans in front of the line, cutting everybody.
Yeah, that was crap.
That made her whole reign like crap for the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so they're trying to fix it now. But I mean, what was her most serious competition? Like, who was her most serious? Who was her biggest threat to the title before Sasha?
Since WrestleMania, nobody. Because you can't even think Natalya was a legitimate threat.
No.
Well, again, this goes back to look at how decimated the women's division is.
Mm-mm.
The women's division is decimated to me.
It's not
of legitimate stars.
Nah, it's more mishandled. It's been mishandled.
But who's in the women's division on Raw though?
Yeah, I see what both of y'all are saying because it's not even so much that it's just one thing or the other. You have a situation where you have a lot of names on the shelf. You have Ruby Riott out. You have Ronda Rousey not there right now. You have stars like
Nia Jax.
Nia Jax out with both of her knees all kinds of fucked up. You got people out there that could be putting on. Well, let me not go that far and say putting on classics and stuff like that. But at the very least, you could have other, feuds actually being started up around this time to actually build some type of a foundation in the women's division. But the problem is, like I said, you got all of these people out, and then you're sitting up there pushing the wrong ones that are still there.
I mean,
so that's where it comes up with stuff being mishandled.
I think the only other women that would have made any sense is if the Kabuki Warriors, you pushed one of them, because either one would have made more sense than Lacey Evans. Lacey Evans is just coming back, and I think that they're doing it right where they're having her. They have to rebuild her because they realize that they pushed her too soon and they waited too long to put her in a feud. So like her entire situation where like, oh, we're just gonna throw her in front of the line makes no sense. And then you still have women working. I guess they're trying to hone their skills. And someone like Sarah Logan, you still have the Dana Brooks, like you still have those type of people where I don't think you need to have the women's title showcased even after this pay-per-view because you need to build the division.
Well, here's the problem with that.
You need feuds. You need buzz around the division. And it's like, don't step to the champ until you're ready kind of situation. Yeah, where it doesn't matter that the women's title isn't there. As long as, like, Becky's fine just being on commentary. Like, whatever happened to the champion coming out during random matches where you're looking at, like, why is he out here? And they're just scouting and talking all this trash. Like, that works for a character like Becky.
Mm-hmm.
Or even a Sasha Banks. It works. Because you don't necessarily need them to wrestle at this point. You need to build a division because who's active that's an actual contender?
Aside from Sasha?
Yeah. That's like at this point, like if they didn't bring Sasha Banks back, what would they have done for Becky Lynch? Nothing. That's why Natalya is a freaking like even if you're gonna build Natalya, you're gonna have to change her look for one thing. Because that whole One Piece sequence crap is tired and it makes her look like a overweight boy, for one thing. But even you want to look at it like her best work has been done when she's in street clothes. And she looks like, I don't know, she looks like a legitimate wrestler. Like she looks like an old school Attitude Era wrestler. Just please get these women out of heels and get them in some sneakers, please, and thank you.
Here's the thing. This is why I say Becky wins. Because if Sasha wins, who's the contender?
That's my point. That's the thing. It's a lose-lose situation. Now, because if you don't have Sasha win, then what was the point of her heel turn and her push?
Well, that's what I'm saying. You have Sasha lose by disqualification. She does something where she gets caught. She gets DQ'd. You keep her strong.
Okay.
This feud going until you figure out what you do next. But knowing Vince, you won't know what to do next.
But that's my point. It's ultimately either, no matter where you choose, you're still stuck between a rock and a hard place. Because Sasha can still win, but it could be by nefarious means. So you still keep the feud going anyway. So like Sasha can still win in the same breath that Becky can still win, as long as Sasha does something dirty, or Becky Lynch or Bayley comes out, or something like that.
Yeah, no, I just think Becky's gonna retain, but she's gonna retain because Sasha got DQ'd.
I'm going with Sasha because one, frankly, and I hate to say it, I'm kind of tired of seeing Becky as champion. Truth be told, I'm tired of seeing Becky as champion because I like the Becky 2 belts thing, but for her to lose one title just so that Vince can have her on Raw was kind of cheesy for me. Mm-hmm. When the SmackDown women's division would have just made more sense for her, just because of the kind of athletes and the fact that they don't have 3 of like the top 5 women on the shelf at this point. So for her to even be on Raw, it's like, okay, we get why you're here, but what are you doing since you've been here? The most action she's had is the Seth Rollins storyline. Like, what are they going to do? Talk about like Becky has to go away because she's engaged? Like, that's my thing. Because like even if she wins, then it's like, okay, so what's Sasha's excuse? And even if it is by nefarious means, then it's like Sasha's just gonna whine like a baby. Is that gonna be the thing? Like, how are you gonna continue to build her if she takes that loss?
Yeah,
that was the other thing that aggravated me about like when Sasha came back, is they had her cut that promo where she was just like, "Yeah, everything that you heard about me was true." Da, 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 da. And this is why I was sitting up here thinking that they're going to be like, "Oh well, you know what? Yeah, we're bringing you back and we're going to put you in this premier position, but we're also going to punish you." But I'm just like,
that was Paul Heyman trying to get her to go over in a Paul Heyman style promo And I think he realized that she can't pull off a Paul Heyman. Because the only person that can make that speech and make it sound good was Paul Heyman. Or like Leo Rush. Or Sami Zayn. Like those kind of characters. Like Sasha Banks, because of her lisp, I just can't take her seriously when she does stuff like that because you hear it a lot more. Yeah, I'm not trying to be mean, but like her lisp kind of killed it for me. She's like, yes, I didn't do this. And I'm like, oh God. It's like, yeah, you know what? I like a little baby. Yes, I took my ball and went home. And it's like, you sound like the kid that got picked on your whole time. And you're like, yes, mother, I did all this, but still, I told the teacher. Like, that's what it sounded like to me. So it's just like, I think it was a Paul Heyman style thing that didn't work. But to his credit, it seems like he kind of went back to NXT and looked at her tape, and she's been cutting better promos since then.
So, all right. Moving on, since I'm not on.
Also, side note, we need to give Sasha a male manager. I'm just saying.
No.
Think about the possibilities.
Yeah, Benny raises his hand like after Rip.
Like, I would have loved Sasha Banks to be with like a Leo Rush type.
You can't.
No, fuck him.
No, you can't. Why would you put a mic on a mouthpiece on her? She don't need one.
Because if she's supposed to be the boss, it makes Sasha that much more annoying that now she doesn't even find it like the crowds or anyone worthy enough to speak to them. You have to speak to her through somebody else. That adds to the annoyance factor. That adds to the heat factor to me.
You have to do a Leo Rush then.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You have to do a Leo Rush type of character.
You have to do Leo Rush.
Well, I mean, technically, he's still employed.
He's not a Leo Rush. Then back in the day when AJ had Big E with her.
Yeah, like that type of. That's what I mean. Like that type of persona. Who to do it? I'm not sure. I can't give you that answer right now.
Because I could honestly see now that you said that, like Sasha Banks, just like not even like a promo or anything like that, just like a poster for some type of an event or something coming up. Say, God, forget, like say they were to do a Queen of the Ring type thing like that. Do it, please,
God, do it.
Say you have a picture, you have Sasha Banks sitting on a throne or something like that, in her all of her glory, legs crossed, everything like that, looking as conceited as one could possibly look, like she is so good at doing, and then you just have her muscle standing next to her, whether it be like a Big E, a Bobby Lashley, or something like that, just as stone face as possibly be right next to her or something like that. That right there just seems so Sasha Banks.
Exactly, but that's what I'm getting at is if you're gonna give Sasha Banks a new and improved kind of revamp, you kind of have to do it differently. You have to do something different. You have to do something to make it interesting.
I would establish her by herself before setting that up like that, but I see where you're going with it. Yeah.
Yeah. So moving on, we'll go to the next women's title: Bayley and Charlotte Flair.
Bayley
has to win. She absolutely has to win.
She has to win. You can't do a heel turn like this and have her lose to Charlotte.
Right.
It's not even just that. That's a big part of it. But the other thing is, almost more so than Becky Lynch, Bayley's championship reign so far has been marred with just crap matches.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not even. I hate putting the Ember Moon one out there like that, but that match had no heat to it because it was sacrificed for the other one.
I think something was wrong with Ember Moon too.
I think something was wrong with Ember Moon, and that being Ember Moon was sacrificed for Natalya versus Becky Lynch.
Well, there's that, but I also think Ember Moon might have been hurt. She's not been on TV. She's still on tour, but she hasn't been on TV.
Oh.
And she's still coming back from that elbow. She's still wearing that elbow sleeve, so that could be a thing too. Again, we don't even know what women are on Raw and what women are on SmackDown because it's like
Yeah.
SmackDown to me, like the next to me, if Bayley wins, the problem is there are no faces on SmackDown.
Carmella.
Who?
Carmella's handling something right now too.
Naomi.
That could work, but that's an automatic win for Bayley.
Much, unless you break the Kabuki Warriors.
That's about it.
I mean, you can do that, or
you don't have to break them.
You got to break up somebody. Well, you got to break up some group. You either got to break up the Kabuki Warriors or Fire and Desire.
No. What I'm saying is you wouldn't have to break them up because Sasha and Bayley are still together.
Yeah. Like, if you see Sasha and Bayley together, then I can understand the Kabuki Warriors. And a Kairi Sane would make sense. Kairi Sane more than Sasha. I mean, Kairi Sane more than Asuka can take a loss. Because right now you need Bayley to almost kind of Shayna Baszler the whole thing.
I would like to see Bayley versus Asuka and then Sasha versus Kairi Sane. Those
beautiful.
They mesh. Like those matches individually, they mesh. If you think
not to mention, again, if you're gonna go back to the continuity that we don't talk about, who beat Bayley?
Never beaten Asuka.
Bayley lost her title to Asuka, and that's what started Asuka's reign.
Mm-hmm.
So what better way to kind of pay off Bayley?
That was a good
match. For her to freaking mention it, it would be nice if some of these people just went off the script and just mentioned NXT. Just saying. But for Bayley to get the win over Asuka, and it kind of builds Asuka, it gives Asuka some redemption arc to come back from. Because right now it's just Asuka's being booked badly. But if Asuka starts to lose, you can potentially have a heel Asuka.
Uh-huh.
After you flip a bunch of, because you need a bunch of faces right now. And that's, it kind of sucks because all the faces are in developmental at this point. We don't know what Liv's going to come back as. That's the thing. What I heard, the rumor was initially was that Liv would come back in a Lita, Rage Against the Machine kind of persona, because that's why she got the chop, or why she perceivably got the chop. Because her hair is supposed to come, she's supposed to come back very like Lita, Evanescence, punk rock, like we're gonna take all these women that are disenfranchised, and that's gonna be who's gonna lead them is gonna be Liv. That's why she was the one who stood up to Charlotte. That was supposed to be the seed that's supposed to like germinate into Liv being another Lita type. But we don't know when Liv's gonna come back. But you're right, Liv. Definitely, if you're gonna go full heel Bayley and you're going to establish Liv Morgan, that would be the way to do it. And Liv doesn't have to win. Liv doesn't have to win. It would actually be better if she lost. Because then you get this whole feminism rah thing. Sorry guys for anybody that we're gonna offend. But you get the whole feminism Rage Against the Machine, like we need to support each other, blah blah blah. And then you get Bayley and Sasha who are just flat out mean girls. To a point where like you have Bayley and Sasha, then you have Sonya and Mandy. Like you have those mean girls already set in place. Like you can even have it where Alexa Bliss kind of joins this coalition, even though you can kind of always tell that Alexa is always going to kind of be a mean girl, but she's like the reformed mean girl now.
Yeah, because of Nikki.
So like, if they were ever going to bring back Liv Morgan, truthfully, you got a point. That would be the best way to do it. The problem is who do you then, like, do you then have Liv just come out and attack them to, like, kind of defend someone? Like, even to a point where you can't have her come out and defend Charlotte, because that makes no sense.
No.
But if you had her come out and, say, defend Sarah Logan in, like, one of those squash matches, but then Sarah Logan's still a heel. Like, she has a lot of heat on that lower end of the spectrum. So the only person that would make sense to me would be like a Dana Brooke.
She's also still not on TV.
Well, Dana Brooke has talked a lot of smack on Twitter, so she's keeping herself semi-relevant. But even if you're just going to have her be a squash match, you can have her be the one to get squashed and then just have, like, just like they're beating, like they can do the whole Edge and Christian thing where they're just beating people with chairs consistently. And then you have Liv kind of come back with like this new music and you're like, oh my God, who's this? and oh my God, it's Liv Morgan, me, or have her come through the crowd, Shield status, with the black hoodie, because we know the hero always comes out in a black hoodie, always comes out with like they're not like she's gonna have like a fresh chop, she's gonna hit you with a bunch of drop kicks, a bunch of like running, dropping knees or something like that.
Yeah, the other thing that I think, and it's something that's like absolutely, groundbreaking or anything like that. But the other thing that could be holding up Liv Morgan is the fact that the company that was doing the music for WWE is no longer with them. Because if you think about it, Liv Morgan has been coming out to the Riot Squad music the entire time. Right? The Riot Squad isn't a thing anymore. And now the CFOs is gone. It's like, okay, now we got to come up with some new music for Liv Morgan, but who the hell is doing the music?
They need to do that ASAP because a bunch of people need some new music.
Mm-hmm.
A bunch of people, like Bayley's gonna. That's probably why Bayley's music hasn't changed yet.
Yeah, because of the change there. Now, my thing is, what I wanted to see from Bayley didn't actually happen. I would have absolutely loved, and I just to see if she could pull this off. You remember when Charlotte went real dark last year? Where she came out with like the black leather, she had the black lipstick and all this other stuff. I would have absolutely loved for Bayley to come out with a look like that, with a remix to her music, similar to how they did Emma's music when they changed it up and she went heel.
Well, you saw remnants of it this past week when Bayley came out with Sasha, and she had the gear on, but the shirts that they had together were black. And her gear had it was a black base, but the lining was still Sasha and Bayley's thing. So her gear didn't change; it was just black. But I think they need to just take it further. Sorry to say, she needs to kill the ponytail.
Yeah.
She's got to kill the ponytail. And I understand, if you know her story, you know why she does the ponytail. And I get it. It was cute. It was groundbreaking. But for this run, she can't use the ponytail. Or if she's gonna do it, it can't be a side pony. It has to be up here. But then that's too much of a Sonya Deville. That's too much of a Sonya Deville look.
Yeah.
So I think that she's got to put her hair down. She kind of has to get a little more. Sorry to say, she has to get a little more pretty.
Yeah.
She has to get a little more of that.
So we're in agreement. Bayley's gonna win this.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. Moving on to the Kofi Kingston Randy Orton match. Another recycled storyline. With little tweaks here and there. I think Kofi will retain because this is his actual first true threat to the title. So I think he'll retain it. He may lose it, I think, in Hell in a Cell or Survivor Series, in my opinion.
Right around now, I'm sitting up here last time. My bad, Japan.
Yeah, you're good.
I was thinking, if y'all remember correctly, I said Kofi wasn't going to lose the title before SummerSlam. All right. I also said Kofi needed one major victory to absolutely solidify his championship run. Had Kofi beaten Randy Orton at SummerSlam, I would have been all right, he's going to lose the title here. But considering the fact that he didn't actually get that victory, and the fact that the way this story has gone, if Kofi was to lose the title, you end up in a situation where he got legitimately just punked out for an entire month and then lost his belt. What exactly is that saying about a guy who's carrying what it's not the top championship in the WWE anymore, but to me it's always going to be the top championship because that is the WWE title. It's not this new shit that they painted red and they decided it's just going to be the number one thing on the block now. All right. So like I said, the only way that I could actually see this going is Kofi getting his win, Randy Orton finally getting his comeuppance from all of these beatdowns that he's given Kofi over the last couple of weeks, and the New Day, and Kofi moving on to whoever he's going to be facing at Hell in the Cell, and then finally dropping the title to them.
Yeah,
I agree with you, but the only tweak I would have is this is going to go to Hell in the Cell, and he gets the victory at Hell in the Cell going into Survivor Series, and Survivor Series is one of the big four, and he loses the title at Survivor Series.
Mm-hmm.
Unless they're planning on doing the champion versus champion thing at Survivor Series, because there's been no word on that.
I really hope they don't.
I'm sick of that.
I don't think it's necessary. I get that you get the two face value of all the championships together, but I think that needs to be strictly just Raw versus SmackDown kind of thing. And then also you have to take into account that at that point the draft would have happened. So you don't know who's going to be on SmackDown anyway. So I'd rather this conclude at Hell in a Cell so that when they move on to Fox, it's a fresh slate and you can have a fresh feud for Kofi. And I would hope that it would be one of the up and coming guys and not someone who's been there and who's had the title. And it'll just be a situation where there's a heel who finally gets his due, I guess is the best way to put it. I would have hoped it to be Samoa Joe, but honestly, I don't think it will be. I hope by then they would have built someone else to a point where they could hold the world title. I'm not 100% sure about that.
Andrade.
I mean, if Andrade didn't get eliminated from the King of the Ring tournament, I would have agreed with you. But I could see a Baron Corbin, for instance. I could see a Baron Corbin being that guy because Baron Corbin never got his payoff because he got in trouble. And the way that they're building him, I could see Baron Corbin getting drafted to SmackDown and being the first guy to come up against Kofi and beating Kofi. And you start to build the division around Baron Corbin. Because Baron Corbin doesn't have the reputation where he's unstoppable, so he can lose to smaller guys, but he's also big enough that you can have the Clash of Titans kind of matchups where it's believable.
If we were going to go the Baron Corbin route, I would say after Survivor Series, probably at the Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
Just to give them more time to build him back up, because right now I'm looking at Baron Corbin and I'm still kind of seeing the guy who lost like 3 straight pay-per-views to Seth Rollins. So I was just
again, like, I can't really. It's not like he lost it to somebody like Chad Gable, or he lost it to, Shelton Benjamin. He lost to Seth Rollins. So like, that to me, yes, are they losses? Absolutely. But Roman Reigns went through, I think last year, where he lost all but like 2 pay-per-views. You see what I'm saying? So it's not a situation to me. And I think that they're still waiting for people to be like, okay, we can throw Roman Reigns back in there because we forget Roman Reigns is still on SmackDown. Will he be on SmackDown after that? I don't know. But Roman Reigns is still very much a guy that you could see them having a situation where he's like, I've been here for a couple of months. I'm kind of seeing the lay of the land. And I stayed out of your way, Kofi, but you got something that's mine. And Roman Reigns being the guy to take it off of Kofi Kingston.
Because Roman Reigns never loses.
I wouldn't want that to happen, but I could see it happen, and I'd probably be
Roman
okay
Reigns
with
never
it.
loses.
It's a
Roman
joke.
Reigns has been losing a lot.
It's a joke.
No, but I know what you mean.
Joke up,
like,
down, down.
I feel like you can't legitimize that anymore because they're doing to Seth what they did to Roman a couple of years ago, where like everyone hates Seth now because he's just so in your face that it's kind of annoying, and it's just more that they suck at writing. But I think this definitely does conclude at Hell in a Cell and not Clash of Champions because, I mean, what the hell is Clash of Champions anyway, right? Who knows? I think Hell in a Cell just is a bigger stage for Randy Orton and Kofi Kingston to end things on and it allows Kofi Kingston to get a definitive victory, and it allows Randy Orton to go to his part-time schedule.
So you're saying Kofi wins?
Kofi wins. I don't even think Kofi wins. I think it's a no contest again. Or disqualification.
I don't think they're going to go that route just because they did it last time. And if they do it again, it's going to piss off so many people.
Yeah.
That they are probably going to take a major hit on their network subscriptions.
Then I can see it being a disqualification situation. Because you can't have Kofi win outright. Not yet. You can't have Kofi win outright because then what's the excuse for them to go fight in the Hell in a Cell?
Kofi had to roll him up. He couldn't beat him straight up. He got a lucky win.
It could be that, but then the whole point of Hell in a Cell is that no one can get in.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So it's one of those where it's like, notice the New Day isn't there, but the Revival is. Right? So I could definitely see I could see a situation where Kofi gets a roll up, but it's only a roll up after the Revival comes in and they hit that. Let's face it, it's a 3-person 3D. Let's stop calling it a Super RKO. Y'all lying out here. It's a 3D. But then Kofi gets a roll up or something like that, or the ref sees the 3D and it's like, oh well, you can't. Kofi, Randy Orton can be like, oh, well, you keep beating me by the skin of your teeth. And Kofi's like, well, you can't beat me without help. So let's finish this in the Hell in a Cell. That's how I can see that one ending.
And on to the last match of the pay-per-view card. Seth Rollins and Braun Strowman.
I'm surprised that nobody actually brought this up yet and called him Sethy Two Belts.
Sethy 3 belts, actually. Sethy 3 belts. He's got 3.
I'm gonna go with is that the belt that Becky Lynch tied him up with?
Funny, but no, he is the current up down champion.
Oh,
so
he has that
3 belts.
Sethy 3 belts. Yeah. I'm gonna go with, like I said, I'm gonna go with Rollins. I think that he's gonna I'm about to die.
In case you don't realize it, whenever we do these shows, Benny's always
playing PlayStation.
On PlayStation. Always.
I'm playing PlayStation. But like I said, I'm going with Rollins for this one, just because of the fact that because of what's supposedly coming, I don't think they're going to do Braun Strowman as a champion. The other reason is because of the fact that I just don't think that at this point they're going to pull a trigger on Strowman. They've been sitting up here teasing that at some point he's going to, be a champion or whatever. But even then, it's just how many false starts are we going to have with him?
Yeah.
So going forward, you got this situation where, like I said, it was teased on Firefly Funhouse. That's what Mr. Quan was going crazy about earlier.
That's where I was going to go with it.
We are looking at a situation where the Fiend is challenging whoever is the Universal Champion at Hell in a Cell. And he finished off his promo with "See you in hell." So I'm just this has to happen now. As much as I was hoping that they were going to slow burn with him, I'm it has to go down now. It absolutely has to go down now. And they need to pull this off, and they need to pull it off flawlessly. So we'll see how it goes. But like I said, I'm just I'm all in on Seth Rollins right now, and hopefully this is gonna be something that actually leads to something great next month, because I wasn't really looking forward to this match at all. And I'm honestly still not.
Paul, are you gonna? Or would you want me to go first?
No, I'll go. The way I see it going is they retain the belts. Wait, did I say they retain the belts? I can't remember now.
Yes. Yes.
So they retain.
You call. Mm-hmm.
And then I see Braun trying to take the title from Seth. And I think that he's going to be the interim title holder and lose it to The Fiend. I don't think they're going to give him a long reign at all. I think he'll lose to The Fiend. I think they'd rather have Braun lose to The Fiend than Rollins lose to The Fiend. Because of the fact, if you think about this, think of it this way: if you have who can take a pin and be fine, Rollins or Strowman? It's going to be Strowman because Strowman has lost. And which way will make The Fiend look stronger? Beating Strowman or Rollins?
Honestly, one way or the other. Because if let's just say The Fiend was to beat The Fiend beat Strowman. Yeah, you beat the monster. Him beating Rollins, he beat the guy that beat Brock.
Yeah, but you don't want that.
Try.
You don't want that. You don't want that too early though. You don't want that. You don't want those.
That's the one downside to having The Fiend in his position right now.
Right.
Is the fact that it feels too early, but I'm like, I still want it.
Here's the thing: you can't have this because then if you bring in Brock, then you're like, okay, well, The Fiend should be able to beat this guy.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want that too early. I'd rather have him face and beat Braun and probably add him to his stable again.
Oh God, no! I don't want him to have a stable. I do not want him to have a stable. I want him as solo as it can be right now. I don't want anybody near him. I just want Bray on his own for the time being.
I see Braun winning, but I see him just being a holder of the belt until he loses, drops it to The Fiend. I think this may be a way to get Seth off the belt and keep him away and just with the tag team titles. And I think it'll cause friction. And they'll drop the tag team titles pretty soon on TV.
I wish they never won them belts, man.
Oh, neither did I.
They never won those titles.
That was the worst thing they could have done. But go ahead, Jaquan. I want to say my piece. I know you have a nice little rant to go on. Want some water?
I think both.
He needs a little bit of the bubbly.
The bubbly.
I think both of you are right. But I think the build, Benny, you're right about the build, the way that they're gonna build it, but I think the result, Paul is right about. Here's how I think this thing is gonna go. I think they lose the titles. Still going with that, and that's what initially causes friction. Yada yada yada. Seth gets beat up. Seth's now the underdog because we know how he's Seth freaking Rollins. He's Monday Night Rollins. He's the one who beat Brock Lesnar. Yada 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 yada. Right? They have their match. Braun works whatever injury it is. Seth has that power comeback. Seth has this epic, like he finally knocks down the Beast. He finally hits him with all his moves and all this other stuff. And then he hits him with the stomp. Braun gets up, like a la Brock Lesnar. Braun gets up, hits him with another stomp. Braun gets up, hits him with another stomp. Braun gets up again. He hits him with a fourth stomp. But after the fourth stomp, the arena blacks out.
Bruh. Oh my God.
You hear Bray. And you see the strobe lights, and then you see Seth kind of get up and like going crazy, looking around, and you hear Seth like yelling like, "Come on, Bray, come on!" And the lights come back up. But when the lights come back up, Braun's up. Seth turns around, gets hit with a power slam, loses the title, right there, right? Braun's celebrating. Lights go out again. When the lights come back on, the Fiend's in the ring, hits Braun with the mandible claw. And then Bray picks up the title, and you just see it go dark, and Bray disappears. And the title's just sitting there, and all you hear is, "Let me in," goes off. That way, like like Paul said, you get the title off of Rollins.
Uh-huh.
And you make it so that now Seth has a reason to go after the Fiend. And Seth has a legitimate gripe to say, I never lost my title if Bray didn't do this. Bray has a reason to go after both guys. Specifically, he has a reason to go after his quote-unquote black sheep. And then you have the bunny saying, help me, help me, help me, in the last Firefly Funhouse. We don't even know who the bunny even represents.
I am so ready to find out what that is about. It's not even funny.
And then again, you have the next Firefly Funhouse that you can have Bray explaining why he did what he did, and then you can add another piece, and you still have the Vince McMahon thing, and then you can still play with that a little bit more. And Braun has a legitimate gripe against Bray Wyatt, saying, like, just because you brought me in here doesn't mean you can't get these hands, and yada, yada, yada. But you also see Braun in a vulnerable state because even the last time you saw Bray Wyatt, he had somewhat of a hold on Braun. So you can play that up as well. Like, you can go so many more directions because of the history of the Black Sheep. And they can go with the whole Braun is still, even though he's never been able to win without Bray Wyatt's help. And it gets to a point where Bray Wyatt basically drags Braun to hell. And in the Hell in a Cell, the Fiend completely destroys Braun. And the only person that can get the title back now is a la Shawn Michaels versus The Undertaker at WrestleMania, the quote-unquote holy one, Seth Rollins.
Coming out in white.
Right? And he's already done the white Power Ranger thing.
Oh.
I mean, to me, you cannot, there's not a lot of room for you to screw that up. Because it's too perfect.
I like it.
But I that's what I think should happen. And that's what I think will happen. That's why I think, and Braun, again, he gets the payoff of finally winning champion. But it's also a test run to see, can he really be a champion? Can he really win a world title? Kind of the way they had Great Khali win the title, but he never held it for that long.
Yeah.
But you get what I'm saying? Like, they've had Big Show win the title, but he never held it for long. Giants don't hold titles for long.
No.
You see what I'm saying? And like Paul said, the best way to establish the Fiend as borderline unstoppable is for him to beat Braun in a Hell in a Cell. And it gives Seth back that luster that he lost when he fought Brock the first time. Because when he had that luster, he was the one man who could do it. And then you can go with the whole, again, like Benny said, the guy who beat Brock Lesnar.
Yeah.
And he can be like, well, you may have beat Braun Strowman, but you haven't beaten me, and I beat Brock Lesnar. And then you have good Bray, or, Mr. Rogers Bray. Now you have a whole Firefly Funhouse thing about, like, Seth thinks he's this big man because he beat the big bad Brock. But you know what? Seth's never really been able to play in the front house. Seth doesn't know how to play with people. And then you bring up the whole what he did to Dean, what he did to Roman, and you kind of almost rehash Seth's entire career of him only winning when he backstabbed people. But Seth really can't. Seth isn't this white knight like he's trying to make himself out to be. He isn't the holy grail. He isn't the face. And that Bray Wyatt has been here longer. Bray Wyatt's been the face. Bray Wyatt and The Fiend are what WWE needs. And then realistically, you could have The Fiend beat Seth. And then I wouldn't go this route, but then it opens up the possibility. And I say the possibility. And you guys are going to hate it or love it. Then and only then do you bring in the only thing that can stop darkness is darkness. That's when you go the Aleister Black route. That's when you introduce Aleister Black, because the one person who wouldn't be afraid of the Fiend would be Aleister Black. And how do you do it? You have Aleister Black fade to black Seth Rollins in the freaking Royal Rumble. And that's how he eliminates him. So that Aleister Black faces The Fiend at WrestleMania. And only at WrestleMania is when The Fiend loses.
Mm-hmm.
Because then you could realistically have The Fiend disappear again.
And at that point, we're talking about Hell in a Cell. That's
Survivor Series.
Yeah, when's Hell in a Cell? October?
October.
Yeah. October, November, December, January, February, March. 5 months, maybe 6, depending on if they actually do it in March and not April.
And that's a really good reign for The Fiend.
Yeah.
That's a really, really good reign for The Fiend.
Mm-hmm.
Because, again, you can have it be a situation where Aleister Black could fade to black, literally kick The Fiend off the face of Bray Wyatt. And Bray Wyatt goes back to like the, oh my God, I don't know what to do. He gets hit again with another fade to black. And he technically never beats The Fiend. He beats Bray Wyatt. Mm-hmm. So he keeps The Fiend protected.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that might be a little bit of fantasy booking ahead of time. But I think it starts with, if Bray Wyatt didn't cut that promo saying, I'll see you in hell, because it's reminiscent of Kane, when Kane made that really nice run with the world title. It's reminiscent of like Undertaker versus Undertaker for those of us who remember that.
Yeah.
You know, it has that kind of feel to it. And in order for that to happen, The Fiend kind of has to beat the fan favorites. Yeah. And you almost kind of want to root for The Fiend. And he's never a person, like, he's never going to be a character that anyone's going to hate. Like, he's never going to get heat. But at the same time, you can use him to kind of revamp and reset the Universal title, because I feel like a 6-month reign for The Fiend would be exactly what the Universal title needs.
Benny,
what you got cooking over there? Oh,
Yo.
Also, wait, before throw it back to Kofi Kingston real quick. Instead of Roman Reigns, what about KO?
Nah.
At this point, KO's a little damaged at the moment. They need to get him back to where he was.
Yeah.
Fair enough. But go ahead, Kenny, because I know you're itching right now.
Do you remember what I was saying before when they brought Stone Cold up on that Skype call?
Mm-hmm.
And how I was saying, like, yo, it'd be hot if they had, his lights go out or whatever, and then the Fiend attack him.
Mm-hmm.
Guess who's going to be on Raw?
Yep.
Guess who's going to be in the middle of the Universal title picture?
Mm-hmm. It works. It works.
Let it happen.
It works.
Please.
But I mean,
let it happen.
If you need that, like, that's the kind of rub that the Fiend needs.
Yeah.
But again, and then also it would make sense for Seth Rollins to stop at that point after getting the stomp if the lights go out. Like, it opens up the possibility, because Seth Rollins is the type where he's reactionary like that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it works.
I am so looking forward to what they do with this guy, man.
Well, and the worst thing I think that they can do is not do anything. Like, the worst thing they can do right now is inaction. Yeah. In terms of that. Like, I don't think that the Fiend is going to attack Stone Cold, but I think it would be the opportune time for you to bring out the Fiend. Like, there are points in time where you kind of have to do this, a la Undertaker with the Ministry.
Yeah.
Where you have to just kind of, like, you don't have to have him pop up all the time, but there are points in time that are leading you to think that, like, okay, even if he just cuts a Firefly Funhouse promo, I don't think he's gonna have the Fiend attack Stone Cold, even though I think he should. I don't think it's gonna happen because they're just not that smart.
Mm-hmm.
Truth be told.
Yeah.
But just have him, like, Bray Wyatt kind of has to be interwoven into this so that we can look forward to this match.
Right.
And then 2, it also kind of, if Bray Wyatt is champion, then when Finn Balor finally does come back, it makes sense for him to go to SmackDown.
Yep.
Like,
either that or he needs to come back and go get his revenge.
Yeah.
And he's not going to do that because he's literally having a moment where, like, Even if they have it, like they could have a situation where when he comes back, he brings out the demon and the demon loses.
That's what I mean. Tell him to go try and get his revenge or whatever.
Yeah.
I wasn't.
And then that's when you have him go to the OC after the demon loses.
Yeah.
And he just kind of switches shows and he switches gears or whatever it may be. But yeah, like that to me, and to reestablish the demon, even you can use the storyline because you can have a number one contenders match and have the demon beat Seth again.
Yeah.
Because right now Seth needs to take a couple of L's.
Yeah.
Real talk. Seth needs to take a couple of L's because he's too. People hate him because he's too in your face. He's too in your face.
Yeah.
He's too much of a company man, especially after those tweets. He's too much of a company man. Like people actually root for Roman Reigns now because he's been so out of
the spotlight.
Yeah, he's been so out of focus. That's what I'm saying. Like Roman Reigns makes sense to me. KO makes sense to me on the SmackDown side, but for this match specifically, I think that they need to somehow do what I said in some variation to establish not only the Fiend as a legitimate threat, but for him to be the only threat.
Mm. Yeah.
And that match takes Seth Rollins out temporarily, even though he can talk all the smack he wants. It's still kind of, he's in the title picture, but he's not in the title picture because there are no automatic rematch clauses.
Right.
Uh-huh.
So Braun could just be in a situation where he's like, before I handle you, I want the Fiend. And it kind of just shuts Seth down, where Seth is just kind of sitting up there waiting in the wings.
Yeah.
And then when Seth cuts his promo, you can have another young guy, I don't know who, attack Seth, someone who's a heel. I don't know who.
I was going to say Johnny Gargano.
That would be fun, actually. But I don't like Johnny as a heel. So
that's what I'm saying. I was going to say him.
I would love for it to be like, I would love for it to be Pete Dunne, personally.
Oh,
I would love for it to be Pete Dunne. Like, my nipples just got hard thinking about that. But I would love for it to be Pete Dunne. And then you have them go through their little squabble while the Fiend and Braun are dealing with their whole thing. And then you have Seth re-enter the picture. And in doing that, you establish Pete Dunne as a legitimate talent. So he can go after the Intercontinental title or the U.S. title, whichever mid-card title you want him to go to, because let's face it, that's where Pete Dunne's going to end up, as a very talented mid-card guy who could eventually move over to a world championship because he is great on the mic and his accent isn't strong enough where you can say, oh, I don't understand what you're saying. Mm-hmm. And he's got that kind of that Cockney, gritty style to him where he can be a face or a heel.
Right.
But he's also short and little. So it's like him facing a guy like Braun is just hilarious. Yeah. But his skill set is breaking fingers, breaking those little things. So for him to go up against a guy like Braun, it'll basically be like him versus Walter, which phenomenal match.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I think if they do this right, they can create several stars in several directions and branch out and have multiple storylines. And this is me tapping myself because it makes too much sense.
Yeah.
But I think that overall, the Braun Strowman wins. That's my prediction. Braun Strowman wins. But he wins because the Fiend distracts Seth Rollins and then attacks him in the end, setting up the Fiend versus Braun Strowman in a Hell in a Cell match. By the way, can we stop with the red Hell in the Cells, please? That was so dumb. This is so stupid. Give us back to a regular cell. Like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah.
Were they trying to make it easier to see through by doing that? I don't know what they're doing.
No, it made it harder to see through, though. It was harder to see through it.
Yeah, it was.
It didn't do anything.
So you're seeing red and just annoying.
Yeah, and it was just go back. Like, go backwards. Like, what you had before, it was working, it was glorious, it was great. The fact that we don't have Hell in a Cell matches until Hell in a Cell, it's kind of stupid, but also really good.
Yeah. Well, I bet that's a whole nother tangent for a whole nother time.
Yeah, that's a whole nother
whole different conversation. But with that,
yes,
let's close up and thank everybody for joining us. And we'll probably get another show in on once we figure out the finalists for the King of the Ring, and we'll talk about the go-home shows and if anything changed.
We didn't even talk about the King of the Ring. Oh my god!
No, ain't nothing to talk about right now. You gotta wait for the final round.
Final round, yeah. So thanks for joining us, everybody. Till next time. See ya.